Thank you very much, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General of CII, His Excellency Mr. Gitesh Sharma, High Commissioner of India to Australia, my good friend Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, the former Secretary East of the Government of India and a distinguished fellow of the Vivekanand International Foundation, also chair of the Australia Economic Strategy Forum, Mr. Rodney Hilton, Deputy Chief of Mission Australia in India, Mr. Anil Agarwal, Joint Secretary of the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, all other dignitaries and industry leaders who have joined today's program as a part of the Partnership Summit 2020. Very good evening to all of you in Australia. Good morning to our friends in India. At the outset, I must thank Minister Simon Birmingham for his address and the insightful comments that he made this evening in Australia. Today there's been a limited cabinet reshuffle. I'd like to acknowledge the huge role that Minister Simon Birmingham played as the Trade Minister. We now have Mr. Dan Tehan, currently the Education Minister, taking over as the new Trade, Tourism and Investment Minister. I'd like to warmly welcome Mr. Dan Tehan in his new role and assure him full support from India, and would look forward to working with him to further strengthen this strategic partnership. Senator Honorable Simon Birmingham, as the Federal Minister for Finance, will continue to be a part of our engagement. In fact, some of the issues we have currently on the table relate more to finance than to trade. So I do hope my friendship with Minister Simon Birmingham will help us resolve the current outstanding issues. But I must acknowledge his positive contribution to our work over the last couple of years. He's a wonderful friend, and I deeply value his contribution to this relationship, and I look forward to a continued friendship with Senator Birmingham in the days to come. This report being launched in the 25th year of CII's role in the India-Australia partnership is indeed an opportune time. I believe CII first started its engagement with Australia around 1995 in a big way. And since then, they've been the flag bearer of broadening the ties between India and Australia. So it's a 25-year gift from CII to this relationship. And I'm really delighted to be able to launch this India Economic Strategy report. It's a very comprehensive report which outlines in detail all the sectors of opportunity. I'm happy that it not only looks at the current profiles, but goes into the future to look at key emerging technologies. I was looking at some of the key opportunity areas that have come out of this report. While mining and resources have been typically the mainstay of our relationship, we've had some foray in power and renewable energy and railways. We are doing very well in education, but newer areas like gems and jewelry, automotive spare parts, an expanded role for technology and services, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and agribusiness, and a greater engagement on tourism, I believe, will expand this relationship in the days and years to come. Of course, the new emerging sectors like defense, sports, textiles and textile designing, digital gaming and animation, water management and commercial shipbuilding, space collaboration, and expanding our educational engagement, particularly in the post-COVID world, through greater degree of digital engagement, certainly hold great promise in our effort to balance this trade relationship, which currently has very lopsided balances. We are, of course, importing a lot of coking coal and other mineral resources from Australia, but our own exports to Australia are still at very modest and moderate levels. I've been having this dialogue with Minister Birmingham to see how we can open up the market in Australia and give greater opportunity to Indian businesses to further expand trade and economic relations with Australian counterparts, to try and bridge this huge gap, and then also look at expanding the two-way partnership so that Australian companies also can expand their presence both in India and in the imports into India, so that overall our trade basket becomes bigger, better, but also more balanced. So with these 3B objectives, a bigger trade basket, a better trade basket, by better I would look at value addition, and a balanced trade relationship, I believe we can literally look for huge and exponential growth in our trade relationship. Of course, as the Australian Deputy Chief of Mission said, cricket is right now on in Australia. I must compliment you for having been able to restart cricketing in Australia. In fact, it's very satisfying to know that the cricket is going on very smoothly. I'm looking forward to the Test series now. But this kind of opening up and normalization of day-to-day activities is a great morale booster for the entire world in our fight against the global pandemic. Of course, the cricketing bonds have tied our two nations for many, many years. And in the changing world, I think sports will continue to play a very important role, even post-COVID, in the ties between the two nations. We echo each other's progress. We wish to see each other. I was just reading in the report that Australia has had almost 3 decades of continuous growth, which is indeed very, very redeeming. India also had an enviable record of growth until the quarter where we had the huge lockdown. So these 2 quarters did cause us a setback, but I assure you, in sporting language, we look at these 2 quarters, or we look at the current year only like a sprint racer would, or a marathon racer would, where he would take 2 steps backward only to give a greater thrust to the speed with which he takes on the race and wins the race. And that's the intention of India. We look at these 2 quarters as our 2 steps backwards, so that we can emerge stronger, better and faster, and take on the long haul, the race in the long haul, with an indomitable spirit of succeeding and winning. Australia and India have been working together even more closely on the strategic front, as you mentioned, in several areas, be it the Malabar exercises, the Quad grouping, the partnership on several strategic areas. And I think this close collaboration will feed into our economic partnership also in the years to come. Of course, Australia has been an attractive destination for several Indian companies, particularly companies in the banking, IT, and petroleum sectors. We are looking forward to faster ramp up of some of the companies which have faced some problems in Australia. And I do hope that they will be able to get back into fast track implementation of their projects and serve the people of Australia with jobs and the people of India with requisite raw materials. I believe there's tremendous scope for Australian investment also into India as we ease our FDI norms, open up different sectors like mining, defense production, finance, the capital markets. These are areas which are of natural interest to Australia. We have also opened up our agri sector for greater investments in food processing and value addition, and wish to ensure that the farmers in India get even greater incomes, which would only be possible with more value add on our farm produce and greater engagement with the rest of the world to meet the needs of the international community of food products and processed foods. Only a few months ago, Minister Birmingham and Minister Hiroshi of Japan, along with me, have launched the Supply Chain Resilience Initiative. The objective of the initiative was to ensure a trustworthy, dependable, and reliable supply chain in the Indo-Pacific region. I do hope we can take this initiative forward in the months to come. We believe that diversification of supply chains is critical for managing the risks associated with supply of inputs, including disciplining non-transparent and opaque economies. We believe that we can provide the core pathway for linking value chains in the region and create a network of reliable, long-term, trusted suppliers and capacities where countries in the supply chain are assured of the rule of law and honest and fair trade practices. We will certainly need to identify which are the sectors on manufacturing, services which can contribute most to this partnership. We'll have to look at areas where investment can be attracted. The Honorable Finance Minister recently launched the National Infrastructure Pipeline, aggregating nearly $1.4 trillion of infrastructure projects, providing investors with a long-term return on investments, something that the world is looking for today. I'm sure Mr. Venkat, the former Deputy Managing Director of State Bank of India, will be able to, through the engagement with the Australian side, throw more light on this national infrastructure pipeline and help engage with Australian investment companies to look at a greater footprint in India. I believe he has also been instrumental in the partnership that State Bank of India has had with Macquarie, and I do hope we can see many more such partnerships in the days and years to come. On our part, India has utilized the opportunity thrown up by COVID-19 to further liberalize our economy and make it easier to do business in India. I believe we are one of the most open economies today, particularly with foreign direct investment in automatic route up to 100% in almost all sectors, save and except a few like defense, multi-brand retail, insurance, where we do have certain restrictions, or we have a government route which is required to take forward greater degree of investment. We are, of course, continuously trying to make our FDI policy more facilitative and congenial, more supportive of foreign investment, and we are sure newer areas like space, nuclear energy and defense production will open up good opportunities for our mutual engagement. Recent labor reforms will also enable a new ecosystem for labor regulations and flexibility in employment, particularly for areas which are not round the year. Areas like tourism will generate a lot of jobs in India under the new framework and will make tourism projects in India more viable, for which I would like to invite Australian companies to look at the Indian potential. We also believe that in the backdrop of the pandemic, the focus of industry, which had been to bring back economic activity and growth, is yielding very good results. The economy is showing a V-shaped recovery. Its fast bounce back is a matter of great satisfaction. And I do hope the strong recovery in consumption, along with the huge government support through the Atmanirbhar Bharat packages, will once again rekindle the strong recovery and the animal spirits of industry and greater degree of investments. We are confident with all these initiatives and the huge interface and partnership between government and industry, India will bounce back to very high rates of growth trajectory. The reforms that we have carried out will further give tailwinds to our efforts, and overall efforts like the Australia strategy report will help us and the two governments of Australia and India to align our trade and economic policies to implement this strategy report. Both reports are now out, the Australian report and the Indian report. And I'm sure we can find good middle ground and good areas of cooperation, which will also, in a way, dovetail into our negotiations for a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, which Simon and I had started, and which I do hope under the new minister we will be able to take forward. I once again congratulate CII for bringing out this report. I wish all of you the very best and pray for your and your near and dear ones' good health. All the best. Thank you very much. Namaskar.